All right, welcome everybody. Happy Friday. We are so excited to still be offering these calls, and we've been hearing a little bit of a buzz in the community, and with sort of what seems to be possibly maybe coming down the pike with things getting a little bit more difficult come the fall, cold season, cold weather, and a lot of things coming back inside. We might end up sort of increasing rather than having monthly. We may either go to biweekly or back to weekly if the group deems that that sort of support is necessary and wanted. So please feel free to either email, to stick in the chat sort of what your feelings are about that, and if you feel like you want that extra added layer of support and time to connect with people in this type of forum setting. The first announcement I'm going to start. We just have two, and then we have a couple of other folks who are on here that I think have contacted ahead of time and are interested in also doing a couple of announcements. The first thing that I wanted to let you know, we've had a lot of folks in the community that are very interested in having more of a unified voice coming from downtown and then that information and that unified voice sort of being directly communicated to council and to city employees. And so we had a couple of suggestions from a few active folks that are part of this group and part of the Heart of Ellsworth board that had suggested that Heart of Ellsworth do a survey to collect data that is in direct support of what issues are of the utmost importance to folks in the community, whether they be residents or businesses. And so I have been working with Betsy Arnson, who's on this call. Thank you, Betsy, for volunteering your time. Betsy and I are putting together a list of questions to put into a SurveyMonkey format that will be sent out next week via social media and also sent out to this group via email. To try and get folks to take this survey, sort of listing issues that are of importance to folks, prioritizing them, so that in turn, we are able to take this data in maybe like a one-sheet form to be able to give this information directly to members of the council, specifically to let them understand sort of what it is that the residents in downtown and businesses in downtown, as well as anyone who's actually interested in taking the survey, what issues are of utmost importance to them, sort of helping be a direct line to council so that they are able to then take those issues and to figure out how to prioritize to help inform their work. Like I said at the beginning of this, we've had a lot of people who are interested in a unified voice being formed so that there is direct relaying to council on issues and topics and sort of resources that you folks have said that you need in a collated and coalesced way. So that is the one of the big things that Heart of Ellsworth is working on right now. And like I said, we'll be releasing that survey next week. And the goal is to have all of it done and ready for council for their October council meeting. So are there any questions about that first announcement or ideas, thoughts? Thanks, Jody. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is just sort of a smaller announcement. Heart of Ellsworth is working on producing our third year of the Down East Cider and Cheese Festival, and that will be happening on November 13th through the 15th in downtown Ellsworth. And we're working on the actual details of that now, but we have just received a grant from the Maine Office of Tourism to pull that off this year. So we're incredibly excited about and about that event happening this year. And we have a group of folks who are working on it, and we're trying to figure out how to do it socially distanced and in a safe way. But we wanted to put our hand in trying to have something fun happen, even despite the pandemic. So the big focus of it will be sort of a virtual online tasting and an outdoor cider and cheese market that will happen. So if anyone is interested in more details in the coming, I think in the coming week or so, we should have our page up on our website and more details in an event, Facebook event. So those are sort of our two announcements. Before calling on Chris Rector, who for some of you who do not know him, he is our local representative from Angus King's office. He has a nice update for us about broadband here in the state of Maine. But I wanted to open the floor to anyone else who has any announcements.
I could give just a brief COVID protocol update that we've started at Fogtown. Just it might be helpful for other business owners who have multiple staff. I'm John from Fogtown. Also on the call is Matthias, who's also at Fogtown. So we have somewhere between 6 and 8 staff members, full-time, part-time. Most of them are on production staff, so are coming into the building almost daily. We've started sort of copying Jackson Labs protocol of cyclical testing of everybody every 2 weeks, which if you aren't aware, State of Maine is still offering free testing. Now you need to be in, either have been at an event with potential exposure or any event of more than, I think, 50 people. So if you travel out of state, that's a reason. If you are at an event like a wedding or a funeral or something and have reason that you could have been exposed, or if you work at a business that is a restaurant or other public facing institution and are at greater risk than the average person, then you are still qualified for free testing. So we've been taking advantage of that at Northern Lights Hospital up in Ellsworth, and making sure that somebody from our staff gets tested at least every week so that we can feel more confident that we're not exposing our customers who are still coming outside. And they've got a really simple, easy to use online platform for scheduling those, and it's been really easy and convenient. And it's an uncomfortable test, but other than that, it's been really great for us and gives us a lot more confidence.
John, that's so great to hear. Quick question: do you so you've been doing that for a few weeks now at the Maine Coast, the Swab and Send site? What has been your experience in terms of how when you've been able to get the results back after the test?
It's been varied. So we had one employee who was symptomatic. Turns out it was a cold. He tested negative. Symptomatic cases or symptomatic tests are usually coming back in, they say, 24 to 72 hours. His took just over 72 hours to get back, and he had to call a few times and sort of remind them. It helps if you already have records at that hospital, then they can contact you through the patient portal, and it seems like that's quicker. If not, they send you an email. Mine took just over 7 days to get back. I was asymptomatic. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're getting better, though. We've had results come back in 2 days and 3 days since then.
Even for the asymptomatic tests, they've come back in 2 or 3 days. Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, it just depends on what happens. And if there's suddenly a lot of symptomatic testing, that has to take greater priority. You need those tests back sooner, which makes sense. But that's good to know. And I know they're working hard, and it's just, helpful to get a sense of it. And of course, if it's asymptomatic, even if it takes 7 days, at least you're still getting a sense of safety, a sense of where things are at. Yeah, that's great, John. Thanks for the update.
It is a larger issue, though, in terms of the, and I've heard this directly from some large providers, that the turnaround time is slow. It's not the same message that we're hearing from the CDC. So there's a lot of mixed messaging around how quickly tests are coming back. And And there's also the upcoming flu season concern that's being expressed, because that will take resources to process those tests, but also the availability of the material, the swabs, especially around flu, hearing some big challenges with the primary source maker of those products. So that it's just something that we should all be aware of with the testing, is that it could actually become something that becomes more problematic in the near future. And if we're trying to use it as a way to prevent, if the longer it takes to receive the results, the less helpful that process is. It just becomes something that we do, and then if it's past 72 hours, it's really it's too late for that to be an effective process. So I say that because we should pay attention to it if we're using it, and then that's our experience. We should advocate for something different so that it is actually serving the purpose that it's intended to serve.
For sure.
Tom?
Yeah, are there any other businesses doing this? I hadn't heard that the free availability of testing.
The MDI region set up a frontline worker pilot project, so they've been sort of working through that process, and early on had a few different partnerships, but do primarily use the state lab now. So, and it's similar. They're similarly trying to keep on top of the times that things get back. But there's with the Swab and Send site now up at Maine Coast, there's no reason not to. It's great, great, John, that you're doing that. Yeah.
We heard from a couple of our accounts. One that comes to mind is Sweet Pea Cafe on MDI. They months ago said that they were doing this for their staff, and that sort of gave us the idea that we could do it as well. So I think there are a number of them. I'm not sure who they are though. We were also thinking about trying to establish a pooling site to take a pooled test to take some of the pressure off of the state's facility, wherein like all of our employees could get tested and those swabs could be combined and tested together. Apparently some institutions are doing this in areas where workers are working closely together, but I haven't heard back from Neerav Shah about that yet.
Well, great, John. Thanks you for sharing that. And John, are you willing to speak with anybody one-on-one that may be a business owner that's on this call about maybe just sort of some details or questions offline if they have them?
Yeah, happily. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Thanks, John.
And I just wanted to interject as well. My name is Sonia Conley, and I'm the new Ellsworth Business Outreach Coordinator. And John, that is something that I could also, as I'm going to businesses, my role is supporting our small businesses during COVID, making sure that they feel supported, safe, and that's going to involve PPE. It's going to involve supporting them around loans and grants and removing obstacles. And so one of the things that I can do is talk to them about these sites. So I will definitely be getting in touch with you a little bit more, or at least I can reach out and get that information as well. But thank you for mentioning that.
And so, thanks so much, Sonia, for introducing yourself. Cara, I guess I wasn't sure if it was going to happen down the road.
No, I wanted it to, but I wanted it to come from Sonia. So we had a couple of comments. Welcome, Sonia, from Betsy Arnson, and then a huge thank you from Heidi for taking on this role. And I also just want to put a bit, actually, you know what, I'm going to let Elsie speak now about maybe how this unfolded.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, that was so thrilled that Sonia can join this group and the work that's happening in the community. So many of you, I think, are very familiar with this because we've talked about it at these calls over the past few months. So this was a wonderful collaboration with at the leadership of the City of Ellsworth. They were able to apply for a second round of the Keep Me Healthy grant funding from the state and are doing a variety of things with it under the auspices of the city, more PPE, some education materials, et cetera. And then they approached Healthy Acadia about taking on the role of hiring a business outreach coordinator, a COVID-19 Ellsworth business outreach coordinator, to really provide support and resources to businesses throughout the city. And so that's Sonia. So we're really excited to be partnering with the City of Ellsworth very, very closely, and then partnering with, the Heart of Ellsworth, the Chamber, and many other organizations throughout the region. So Sonia is hitting the ground running. This is her second week. Yep. So she's done just about a full week, and she is. We're so excited to have her. She has such a great many of you will know her from, I think, a number of the businesses downtown. Such a great background and connection with Ellsworth businesses, and a great background in counseling and other social work. And so she can really combine it to really provide some really strong support for businesses. So she'll be doing a lot of outreach, going around directly to the businesses, seeing how things are going, what's working well, what's not working well, if there are resources they need, issues that they're having, and then act as a liaison for, back to the city or to the state as needed, and can help provide, make sure to provide resources, PPE or others. She can as she gathers her expertise, like John's example, she can be spreading the word about these opportunities that businesses can take to protect themselves and their customers. She can also be a resource for things like we've talked about here, the various grants or other funding sources that can just help businesses, get through the challenging times. So, and I know she and we and the city are really eager to just continue to get feedback from the business leaders themselves about what makes the most sense for her in this role. It technically goes through October 31st, so she'll be working fast and furiously over the next month and a half. And then we'll see what happens from there. But so we're really excited and really grateful to the city for this partnership and opportunity.
Sonia, could you put your direct email address in the chat so that everyone has the ability to directly connect with you if they have questions or ideas?
Yeah, of course. I would love to do that. Thank you. And I'm excited to work with you, and I would love, as I, put that email in the chat, I would really love any insights, anything that you can think of that could be supportive for the small businesses. Yeah. And I'm actually in Machias today at our offices in Machias because we just had 45,000 masks, reusable masks delivered. So that's also going to be a part of what we're doing, is distributing those. So we have a few masks. If you need them, please let me know. But
and yeah, that was a little bit of a last minute surprise this week. And that came from, we had done some outreach with a couple of other nonprofit partners, Downey's Community Partners, Mano a Mano. There was a FEMA opportunity to get masks that were available to nonprofits, but that then could be, nonprofits would then distribute to people they work with, and serve and whatnot. And we had pursued that option a few months ago, and then they ended up running out of masks. And then we were just approached this week asking if we wanted the delivery. So we took it. So that's going to be a great addition to PPE that's also available through the grants. And so, yeah, we're really excited to get that out there. It looks like some good high quality masks, face coverings that can get out and about through businesses and in other ways.
Excellent, thank you. Those are all really positive and great updates from that level of the COVID-19 issue and sort of as we move into the fall. So positive stuff to help us further support the businesses and the residents, in our city. So thank you for that. If there are any other thoughts or comments about specifically this issue or things related to COVID-19, I want to open the floor now to that. But with in mind too, I wanted to give Chris Rector a little bit of time to update us about broadband in the state of Maine. So if there are any other sort of things that connect to what we were just talking about, I just want to make sure I leave time for that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Sonia,
take the floor, I guess, Kara.
thank you, Chris. And just to let everyone know too, Sonia has put her email in the chat. So feel free to go in and pull that email if you want to reach out to her directly. Yeah, please go ahead, Chris.
So I'm Chris Rector with Senator Angus King's regional office. I work out of Augusta and I cover Knox, Waldo, Hancock, and Washington counties for the senator. And I just happen to mention the reason my broadband isn't great. I live in Thomaston and I leave my camera off because the video often throws me off the Zoom call. So I mentioned that and told Kara that I was just on the phone with the senator and others, speaking with folks from Calais and Baileyville who did the first municipal broadband project in the state of Maine. The towns of Calais and Baileyville agreed to collaborate, join, and finance fiber to the home for every premises in those two communities. It was a $3+ million project, I believe, $3.1 million project. They financed it using conventional bank financing, and they expect it to be self-sustaining as people sign up, but it's going to give them state-of-the-art, at least 100 megabyte by 100 megabyte connections for anybody who wants broadband. And they did it partly because they recognized that failure to have good broadband was going to prevent their continued growth and sustainability as a community or as communities. What was partly unique about this is that the town of Alexander, which is the abutting town to Baileyville, came to the same realization, and they most recently, just last night, in fact, confirmed and affirmed that they are going to join that network. So there'll be a third community involved in this project, and it's growing organically, I guess you would say. The next abutting town is Cooper, and there's someone in Cooper who's very interested in getting their town to sign on as well. In the case of Alexander, it's a community with 250 premises, more or less. It's going to cost them about $600,000, I think, to get wired. And there are several nice things about this. It's an open network, so any provider can come in and utilize that network. It's publicly owned by all the residents of those communities. And once the debt is paid, it will be a generator of revenue for the municipalities. And they expect the kind of uptake that will allow this to be a reasonably safe investment. And I think that's probably demonstrated by the fact that it's being funded through a commercial bank. The initial step, I think, that we talked about today was the need for a study. In the case of the town of Alexander, their study cost them about $7,000. They actually had a citizen come forward and give them a $5,000 donation toward that cost. So it really only cost the town just slightly over $2,000. And with that study, they were able to affirm what the cost would be for the build out and come up with a presentation. I would commend to you all there's already been public investment in fiber in Ellsworth. We worked with Mickey Sumter extensively when she was economic development director there, getting a loop in downtown. It's part of what helped get the Union River Center up and running because they had a broadband connection. So for high-speed broadband, as an essential component of the growth of your community, it's something you may want to look at longer term. We were talking about people buying homes in Maine, the influx of folks from out of state who are finding the quality of life and the safety in this COVID environment being a positive thing here in Maine, feeling like they may want to move here, but for many, broadband connectivity and high-speed internet is an essential component of that move. So they continue perhaps to work from wherever they originated in a way that's sustainable for the long term. So Connect Maine Authority received $15 million from the bond issue that was voted on back in June. So there's some money that they have. They're still determining how that's going to be spent. There's also CARES Act money that has to be spent by the end of the year that the state has that is dedicated to broadband as well. I'm not sure how that's going to be deployed. It's sort of out of the federal hands, but and then we've been working with the Department of Agriculture because they also have some funding available for broadband connectivity. I guess that's all I have. I'd try and answer your questions if I can, or if I can't, we can maybe find someone who can.
Chris, thank you for that update. It's great to hear what's happening in other areas of the state. And I think it's especially exciting that it's Washington County that is sort of leading the charge locally on this. And a lot of those communities that you spoke of are ones that can be maybe not exactly looked at as Ellsworth is, but some of the surrounding towns, a lot of the same issues face us and unify us. So it looks like Tom, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so I have looked into internet service providers in Ellsworth area and just generally down east, and I know of a company that was providing fiber in this area. I think they were quoting me for a business something like $300 a month for service. Looks like Union River Telephone Company with Riva.net, they have fiber up in the northern reaches of Hancock County, are looking to expand in down here into Ellsworth. And I'm just looking to see what they have available, and looks like they're going to have some plans here as well. So I'm curious to know sort of the distinction between this publicly owned utility further down east, and we've got probably a much more competitive market here. There's kind of a wider range of services available. Is there any interest in forming any kind of a public utility here in Hancock County, or specifically in Ellsworth?
Well, Tom, if that question is for me, not that I've heard of specifically, but there's already been public investment in through the city and through the Economic Development Administration to bring high-speed in downtown, which was done and is open and available, I think, to any ISP that wants to sign on. I'm not exactly sure how it's operated. It's so there are models that are public, there are models that are private, there are models that are municipal. I mean, I often recommend to folks in communities that they speak to the current incumbent providers they have. And if there are areas that are uncovered or not covered at a reasonable cost, or at a speed that's sufficient for what they're trying to attract, that they try and explore what it would take. You know, the old, so what would it take to get you to provide us with 100 over 100 service here in our communities? How many subscribers would it take, or is there some shared costs that we could provide, that sort of thing? I mean, there are lots of ways to skin this cat. I think there are a tremendous number of models that are out there. The Calais-Baileyville model that I mentioned, as I said, I was on a call this morning. We were sharing that with Senator King because he was particularly interested in that as a model. And I think it's replicable elsewhere, but it's not the only model, and it's not the perfect model for every place. And I think you are correct that you probably in Ellsworth have a variety of incumbent carriers who might be able to provide you service. The question again also becomes one of cost, and how that cost is covered.
Okay, thank you very much.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing this progress, this news with us, Chris. I just wanted to mention to folks that I certainly hear a lot from constituents with internet concerns in the farther reaching areas of Ellsworth. and also just some anecdotes about the value of internet. I heard from a person in an adjacent town that they sold their house for significantly less than it was worth because they didn't have a stable, solid internet connection. On the contrary, I heard from another person in Calais that there was a bidding war for his house because he thinks the fast internet really made a difference. Because as people look to move from the cities and can work remotely, that's the sort of access they're looking for. So I do think there's a lot of economic potential here, but I wanted to note that there was a really interesting editorial in the paper discussing this remote work phenomenon. And one of the things that they mentioned was sort of being prepared for it. What does it mean if a community starts growing really quickly because they have made themselves a really marketable place for resettlement, but they don't maybe have zoning to protect that quality of life and that feel of a small town. So I just thought it was really interesting that these conversations are all happening at the same time. And I'd recommend folks take a look at that editorial and think about, is Ellsworth, do we feel like we're ready for a possible influx of people if we do something like provide universal broadband coverage throughout the city? And I think that circles around to the question of the comprehensive plan, which I know that the city has put off due to financial concerns, but I do think planning around this probably will have a long-term benefit. So I just wanted to add those thoughts.
The comment about homes being sold, I mean, occasionally people don't think to ask because if they're coming from out of state, don't think to ask about broadband connectivity, and then have the unfortunate surprise of not realizing that it's not there when they need it. And we sometimes are on the receiving end of calls from folks that are disturbed that that it isn't as available as they thought it would be, particularly based on their past experience from maybe more urban areas out of state.
I also just want to let folks know that Chris did stick his email address in the chat. So if you have thoughts after this conversation or concerns or ideas to reach out to Chris with those ideas. Chris, thank you for sharing. That was sort of an unexpected but timely update. So thanks for always making the time for Ellsworth. You've been on a lot of these calls, and we really appreciate the statewide perspective, and of course hearing what's happening in Angus King's office and in Washington. So
glad to be here. Also, let me just say, if you go to the Connect Maine Authority, if you Google Connect Maine, they have a lot of great state resources and information about connectivity. And Peggy Schaefer, who runs the Connect Maine Authority, is a terrific resource for any work that you might have, or if you're trying to explore this in more depth here in Maine.
Great, excellent. Oh, thanks, Nick. Chiming in with on the tech front. Thanks, Nick. Perfect. Nick, maybe I'll put you on the spot. Any updates from the Grand?
Updates from the Grand. Sure. Well, I'm very excited to know I can find Glenn Mosier at all times of the day. Now I know where he's at. So I'm going to be visiting Glenn very soon. Hi, Glenn.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for putting me on the spot. I appreciate it.
But no, it's great to see everybody. And, I guess one thing, I'm working closely with John and WERU. We're trying to keep some content going, and we're working on some live music from the stage at the Grand. We're trying to do everything we can. But the biggest update from the Grand is, as long as we're under a 50-person restriction in venues, there's not much we can do. There's not really anything we can do in the location that would generate any revenue without losing money. So we're trying to do everything we can online, but we're always available to keep the messages going and keep everybody upbeat. And we're working hard to get everything ready and to be ready when we can open again, and to support downtown businesses as much as possible. So anything we can do. If you haven't figured out yet that I'll pretty much say yes to about anything, you haven't spoken to me recently. Thank you, Cara.
Well, I do what I can. I want to make sure everybody has the floor that might need it. I guess also at this time, maybe either Dale or Glenn might maybe want to give a little bit of an update what's happening at City Hall, and I'm glad that both of you folks are on this call today. It's great to see you. And I guess just to navigate a little bit, just sort of what's happening on the front of City Manager, as much as you can tell us now.
Well, I'll start out with my role. I'll let Dale speak to what the future holds. But as you all know, with David Cole, the city manager, leaving, I was asked by the council if I would be willing to step into the role as an interim basis. Mostly, my role here will be to just continue to keep things going as they have been. I don't intend to make any earth-shattering decisions or changes to what's been going on here at City Hall, but just to keep things going and have sort of a steady, familiar face for everyone here at City Hall to turn to and to be able to rely on. So I'll be taking over the role that David filled in the city and in the community. Hopefully, we're looking at a 4 to 6 month window of opportunity while they search for a new city manager. In the meantime, my role in the police department will be diminished on a day-to-day basis, but I will still continue to have a very active and influential role over what goes on in the police department as I take on dealing with the city. So, I'm very excited about the opportunity. It's a great opportunity for me to learn more about what goes on behind the scenes of city government, and I view it as a great learning experience for me, and it'll translate well for my department moving forward to be able to have a leader who has more insight into what goes on outside of just the world of police. So that's kind of my perspective on it, and I'll turn it over to Dale to address the future plans for the city manager position.
So briefly, we've started the process. We are contracting with Eden Peabody to provide the oversight of the process. And there is actually a public meeting Monday at 6 before the regular meeting to start that discussion in terms of the planning process, which will involve everything from the advertisement to to the interview process, and also the process in terms of community inclusion, of getting the community involved and how we do that. So that process is going to be developed, and we'll start Monday. Really will be the kickoff, and I expect that we'll see at least the advertisement process happening pretty soon, and then we will move forward from there. But so that meeting at 6 will be public, will be broadcast. So we'll give everybody an opportunity to hear what's going on, and also to raise suggestions and have input.
Dale, I think you completely just nailed what I think has been on the minds of a lot of people, is that community engagement. And so thank you so much for coming out ahead of Monday and letting everyone on this call know that is a possibility, and that we can all tune in. And is that just sort of regular, the typical viewing of city council meetings at the same platform?
Yes.
Okay. And we have a couple of comments. Thank you, Chief Mosier, Interim City Manager Mosier, should I say. That's from John Stein. And then again, thank you, Chief Mosier, for stepping in. And that's from Sarah Bowden, so at Sugar Mag. So yeah, a hearty welcome from Heart of Ellsworth, I think, is in order to say as well. We've had a lot of not a lot, but we've had a typical amount, I suppose I could say, over the course of the past 5 years of working with Chief Mosier in regards to a lot of our outdoor events and a couple of other issues and things that have come up. And so we are happy to see a familiar face in the position for the time being. So thank you both Dale and Chief Mosier for speaking up. I want to leave, we still have about 15 minutes. I'm happy to end early, or if there are other topics that I didn't think to bring up, or if anybody wants to bring up announcements, anything, feel free. Ooh, I think we've got I just saw a real hand raise. Hey, Heidi.
Real hand, it's not yellow. Hey, everybody. I actually just wanted to make a quick announcement on behalf of Ellsworth Community Music, because it's pretty exciting. In the spring, they had to cancel all their midday concerts, which are held indoors at the Moore Community Center. But in next week, on Thursday, September 24th, they are holding a midday outdoor concert at 1 o'clock at Woodlawn. Outdoors, obviously. 3 cellists will be playing on the front porch, and people will be socially distanced in the drive there in front of the front porch. So if any of you are craving some beautiful classical music, there's ellsworthcommunitymusic.org has a program. It's varied. There's some Latvian music. It's going to be really lovely. So if you need a little music love, I highly recommend that. And also, they are offering for the first time an early childhood music and movement class online with Deborah Renke. She's a beloved instructor of early childhood music. Her classes are always very popular. This is the first time we've done it online with her. So I'll pop the info and a link to Ellsworth Community Music in the chat. If you have little ones that you know of, then the nice thing is they don't have to live in Ellsworth. They can be elsewhere. We're able to expand our reach a bit with this offering. So I just want to make sure I let everybody know about that. And also they have restarted lessons online. So they have 4 new faculty members this year in strings, voice, actually Gina Turner, Nick's wife, has joined, and flute, and I'm not remembering, piano. So anyway, just wanted to give them a shout out. They're a big part of our community, and there's a lot happening in September. So thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, it's nice to have some of the different organizations that aren't able to be on here at this time to have announcements from them. So thanks for bringing that up, Heidi. And I believe that some of the information that Heidi just gave will also be in Heart of Ellsworth's newsletter. This, well, that'll be coming out in October, which I guess we're about halfway there. I feel like we're already.
No, it was already in September's.
Oh, it was in September's. Okay.
Yep.
And you can access those by going onto our website under the news tab on our page. You can access all of our past newsletters. And if you're not on it, feel free to sign yourself up. So is there anything that's happening this weekend that anyone can, that they want to announce?
If you want to come hang out with me at the gazebo tomorrow from 10 to 12 and discuss whatever's on your mind, feel free. I'll have coffee and tea. But you all know how to get in touch with me anyhow. But I'm so pleased to have the waterfront there with a covering, so I don't have to worry if it's going to rain or not. It's just great to be able to schedule a safe outside place and not worry about weather. So yay, Harbor Park.
Indeed about Harbor Park. It's a great resource, and it seems like it's forever expanding. So that's also really exciting for our city as a resource in the urban core. So, oh, John, go for it.
The Economic Recovery Fund grants application closed last week. We talked about that a few weeks ago, I think, with Chris Rector, giving some good information. I just learned yesterday about it, the Eastern Maine Development Corporation, or whatever they are, doing RLF loans, which are low interest rate. The terms kind of change, but they're geared towards small businesses. They have like mini loans and slightly larger loans up to, the mini grants or the mini loans are 5 or 10,000, and the larger ones are up to 450,000. And they're really widely usable for anything that a business could, whether it's pivoting in COVID times or, cash on hand for starting a new business, things like that. So if you haven't heard about that, it's called the EMDC RLF loans, and you can email me for more information if you like.
Thank you, John, for that. I had forgotten about that one this week, so thanks for picking up the pieces. Nice. And
Tara, just real quick, there is a event being held tomorrow. There's actually a parade that's going to be, Jesus Reigns is the organization, the event that's being held. It's a non-denominational religious day of worship, and they're holding a parade that's going to follow the Memorial Day parade route, which means it's going to come off of School Street, go down Main Street, and out up State Street back to the Knowlton Park. The parade starts at 11. I've been in contact several times with the organizers, and it's estimated to be somewhere around 70 participants in the parade, so it'll be a relatively short interruption in traffic flow on Main Street. So anywhere between 11 and 11:30, there will be that interruption going on in the downtown area.
excellent. Thank you for that. I'm sure anybody who's driving through is happy to know or to attend. So thank you. Sarah's had her hand raised. I just want to make sure I get to her. I think she's had it raised for a while. So Sarah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it has. Hi guys. See, hi Fisher. This is probably, as there's a certain somebody that misses everyone. Hi, Nick. I was wondering if there had been plans or announcements made about Halloween. Just because 1,200 kids in Main Street, it's kind of a big deal in our world down here. So I just didn't know if there had been any movement or any discussion about what was happening with that. I know it's a little early, but I just maybe jumping the gun, but I didn't know if anybody had any info.
Cara, if you'd like, I just received actually today an email from Natalie Knox, and she forwarded on to me the CDC guidelines for Halloween, which I thought was a little premature, but apparently they've got them out, and we're qualified in a green zone, which they have no restrictions in place for Halloween for typical trick-or-treating. The only thing they're suggesting is you just maintain social distancing, mask wearing and those standard requirements, but there are no guidance in place or guidelines in place to prohibit trick-or-treating in our community. So I know that the Y, according to Natalie, I was unaware, but the Y has canceled at this point the trunk or treat that we typically have here in downtown at the City Hall, Lower City Hall parking lot. So I don't know if perhaps they may reconsider that decision or not based on this guidance from the CDC, but at this point, there is no restrictions in place.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chief Mosier.
Yeah, thank you for that update. Something that it's been on the news a little bit, and I know it's been on some people's mind. And so I'm glad to hear that there's at least some sort of knowledge of what might happen and a plan in place. So I think Annie Sargent.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey everybody, I'm Annie Sargent from Ellsworth Adult Ed, and I just wanted to give you a quick update. We're relocated to the front of the Mill Mall, where we don't have a sign up yet, but we're looking forward to that. We have a grant, we've submitted a grant to the Libra Foundation to build the space out to be sort of a economic development kind of training center. So often adult ed programs, have the hand-me-downs from the hand-me-downs. And so we're hoping to find external funding to really make this a go-to place. So that's one thing. Another is we're starting to populate our website with offerings, not only what we're offering, but also pointing people to other opportunities. And thirdly, and relevant to this call, we are, as Maine adult education, we're collaborating with the Maine community college system to pilot micro credentials, which I think are pretty relevant to this area, because so many people don't want to invest in a college program. And so the micro credentials are really helpful. People can get established and then pursue college if it makes sense. And so the one that we're doing first is a computer support specialist. So we're offering a work ready program this fall with IC3, which is computer skills. And then in the spring, we'll be offering a CompTIA A+ training. And those will be online. And so more to come on that, but we're kind of excited about this collaboration. And please let us know any kind of, what people are looking for employers, so that we can really tailor our, focus our energies on tailoring workforce skills to meet the needs of businesses in Ellsworth.
Annie, are there press releases that are going out or places online that people can go to get more information and to be connected to this new program and collaboration?
That's a good question. We haven't gotten there yet. We're having a statewide kickoff on the 25th, and so we'll know a lot more after that.
Yep.
It's a pretty new development. So, but and unfortunately, in our program, we wear many hats, and one of the hats that I wear is I'm the web master, and master I am not. So we're sort of developing our website, and we're struggling a little bit with that, but we will have the information up there. It won't be pretty, but it'll be up there as soon as we can get it up. We're working on that this week and next. And our catalog will be out the second week in October as well. So we'll keep you posted.
Excellent, thank you. And yeah, please do keep us posted. That sort of information is great for us to stick in our newsletters and to stick up on social media. And thank you for coming on the call and always making time to be on here, and also for your announcements. So thanks, Annie. And just in the interest of time, it's 12:56, and I just wanted to open the floor one final time for any announcements or, oh, yep, go ahead, Judy.
Jody, yeah.
Excuse me, Jody.
Not a big announcement, just want to say thank you to the community. We celebrated our 40th anniversary annual meeting on Wednesday, and we did it via Zoom, and it was great, and we're so grateful for the support of this community. It would not have happened for 40 years without the partnership. So know that we are here for you, and thank you for being there for us.
I can speak from experience. It's an amazing service that you folks offer, and a total resource in our community for residents that is free, but always open to donations. So thank you so much for again making time to be on here, and thank you for all of your announcements. And if we're all good for now, I will let you all get back to your Fridays, and also encourage each of you to enjoy your weekend. And thank you all for being here.